Good day, Industrial Advisor listeners, and thank you for tuning in. If you have not subscribed, please do so by clicking subscribe wherever you podcast. Click the like button and hit the bell if you want notifications of when we put up new content. Leave us a comment about anything we discuss here today or general comments about the show. Now, let's get into it.
Welcome to our Industrial Advisors podcast. You have Bill Condon and Matt McGregor, and we have a great guest today, Meredith Marash, who's based in New York. Meredith is a colleague of ours, I would say a teammate of ours, a friend of ours. She's based in, like I said, New York. She's a senior vice president of our Enterprise Market Solutions team, really focused on the occupier side of the business. Meredith has a really cool background. She's got over 20 years of experience on the corporate real estate side, both on the vendor side, on the client side, obviously now at Colliers. So has great perspective on what occupiers really value. And so, Meredith, it's great to have you on our podcast. Thank you for joining us.
To be here. Thanks for having me.
The other thing
Meredith,
I want to mention,
go
sorry,
ahead, Bill.
Matt. The other thing I want to mention about Meredith is she is also super into running and recently completed her, I think it was your first ultra marathon. Is that right?
Yes, they have a saying that says if you're too slow for marathons, try ultras. It's a really inclusive sport. You can go at any pace.
There's hope
no
for me
pressure. You eat Pop-Tarts. What else could you want?
That's quite an accomplishment. Congrats on that.
That's awesome. What's the next one that you're registered for or thinking about?
Actually, I have a 50K trail run Saturday. So, well, it's going to be very muddy and raining. So we'll see how it goes.
Awesome.
Is it in the New York area?
It's in New Jersey.
Okay.
So close by.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Meredith, we've done a lot of work with you. You're very talented at what you do. Thanks for being on the show. Tell us a little bit about your career path because you've got a very unique job. Maybe tell us your career path and a little bit specifically about your role today.
Sure. Yeah. I came to commercial real estate about 20 years ago. I fell into it. Before that, I was doing marketing and I took a marketing role at a commercial real estate firm. And I just fell in love with the business and I learned it from the ground up. And after a few years and lots of great mentors, I started account work. I did global accounts and I was embedded on real estate teams as real estate directors through the years. And I really learned strategy, optimization, and the ability to see everything that goes into real estate, not just brokerage. So after that, I took a job at Ernst & Young, specifically to consult in the real estate department around items like that. I did a lot of operational assessments where I'd go into CRE organizations, understand their current state, what was working, what wasn't working, and help them build out a future state, services, parts, pieces, staffing that really got them to where they needed to be. So it was a pretty natural progression to come to Colliers, back to the brokerage side, to help design solutions for clients and really make sure that they're not just getting a bit and a piece, but they're looking at it from a whole perspective.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about, so for the listeners' perspective, Meredith helps teams like Bill and I win a lot of business. When things are over our head, Meredith is who we call. And so tell us a little bit about, your specialization, because we bring you into presentations for either one-off transactions or corporate solutions type stuff or portfolio business. And you talk on a lot of things. So maybe touch on a few, including the tech side of it, lease admin side, and some of the special services that we have.
Yeah, great conversation. There's so many things that go into real estate. And I think one of the first things clients should be looking at, and I like to discuss, is really lease administration. Really making sure you're looking at the portfolio holistically, looking at critical dates, looking at options, looking at expirations. You'd be really surprised in how much that little stuff gets missed. But I like to layer on top of that a technology. Colliers has Colliers 360 analytics and dashboards, and it'll pull everything up from a lease admin system so you can see KPIs and you can see the whole portfolio. But we know that it's not just rent, right? A total cost of occupancy, it's rent, it's logistics, it's transportation, it's cold storage, it is all of that. And once you start integrating all of that into a technology and a dashboard that you can see it all together, you can really look at it and measure it. There's a great quote that I love that is, you can't manage what you can't measure. And I think we have the tools today to make it much easier to manage and measure everything we see. On top of that, just the other services that not my specialty, but I know who to call. And we're talking about supply chain, workforce analytics, workplace. And it's not about having teams around the country, around the world doing it. It's about having those experts on speed dial. I know you guys do, and I do too. And they'll take my call, not at all the time, but all the time. If I have a fast question, a client has a question, we want to make sure that all of that is just at the beck and call of our clients.
Yeah, it's interesting. You certainly are our first call on all of that. So we feel like you're an expert in all of those things and certainly can speak on it. Maybe tell us a little bit about over the last few years, what are the services that our clients are asking for more frequently than they used to?
Yeah, I would say certainly technology, it has evolved so much over the years, and they really want to see what it can do. It's not necessarily about the technology, it's about the ability to have accurate data, have a single source of truth, and see it all come together. And then on top of that, and it's something, our teams, your team does, is really looking at proactive strategy, not just doing deal by deal and not just looking at a quick once over of the portfolio annually. It's really getting ahead of everything and looking at solutions and looking at activity in the market and trends and what's going on and coming up with that strategy that makes sense for them.
Yeah. Meredith, one of the things Matt and I love about Colliers so much is just our industrial platform, right? I mean, we think we really truly have the best platform in the CRE space. And we've been really fortunate of late when partnering with you on some of these global accounts to have a lot of success in winning some of these accounts. You have exposure to kind of everybody across the country. Why do you think clients are hiring Colliers at such a high pace right now?
Yeah, well, our industrial platform is absolutely a one of those differentiators, as you mentioned. But I also think, again, it's really about the teams and the team's ability to really connect with the clients and understand what they need holistically. We also have a lot of new clients that are very, very fast growth clients. So they're rolling out space after space after space. And that takes not just strategy, that's a process. You need a process in place to find space really fast, negotiate a deal even faster, get approvals. We all know how hard it is to get everyone to sign on the dotted line, even if it's the best deal in the world. And I think our ability to really just lead them through the whole process has made a big difference.
Yeah.
We recently won a deal that we pitched down in California with you. Maybe tell us a little bit about why you think that was a win.
Yeah, that was a great one because at first they were looking at 2, maybe 3 advisors for the country,
Hmm.
right? They had their favorites. We had been doing work in some areas, and we spent so much time with them. I think really understanding their challenges, and I love when we sit down with a client and we're just, tell us everything that you're having a problem with, and let's just brainstorm and work it out, and let's put a plan in place. Let's build something together. And it was a really interesting change to see that they stopped thinking deal by deal, and they started thinking, well, what can we do as a company? And that change, I think I was really happy to see, but it was really because of the way we approached it and the way Colliers in general is just so in tune to other clients' cultures.
Well said. I remember that shift in the presentation and where the questions went. Certainly, they started thinking differently after hearing a lot of your approaches, and that was awesome. Going back to my question a little bit earlier, I wanted to elaborate on that. I'm a technology geek, as you know, love to always look forward. What do you think is coming on related with, corporate solutions and corporate real estate related with new technology and specifically the acceleration of AI?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. AI has been around in real estate for years. We talk about it every day now, but
Hmm.
intelligent buildings, that's been an ongoing, evolving process for a really long time. And I think that is getting better where now the data that they get, you can make minute changes that really make a big difference. The other thing that's really cool, and Colliers, our Colliers technology and portfolio strategy team has been evolving their AI strategy tool so they can really take a look at, pull in client data, pull in all of the other data, and come up with recommendations. Now, I personally think that's an enhancement to the humans behind it, right? I think real estate's too nuanced to ever really have AI be able to make those decisions. And it's certainly too emotional, even in the corporate setting. People think
Right.
spaces, are who they are as people, as leaders, as companies. So I think it's evolving that way, but I don't think you're ever going to see a shift away from the human brains behind it.
Well said.
Yeah. It's interesting because what I've realized with working with you is clients really love it when you mentioned this earlier. People really take the time to understand their problems. And then I've never seen someone like attack the problem and go find solutions quicker. So I think that's been huge to, our collective success and on the corporate occupier side and having kind of being able to be nimble and go get solutions quickly has been super helpful. And you do a really good job of kind of leading that charge. So thank you for sharing your thoughts and joining our podcast. Can't believe it's taken kind of this long to get you on here, but appreciate you sharing some of your insights and appreciate your partnership as well.
Yeah,
Thank you
me
very
too.
much.
And thanks for having me.